Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here this afternoon as we develop our inquiry mindset, and each of us seeks to answer the question, how will you enter the classroom a different and more complete teacher than before as a result of our conversation today? I'm Sandy Benton, Field Consultant for the Wisconsin Green Schools Network. Our guest today is Trevor MacKenzie. Trevor is an award-winning English teacher and an instructional coach focusing on inquiry and technology from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Trevor is co-author of Inquiry Mindset, published in 2018, and author of Dive into Inquiry, published in 2016, both by Elevate Books EDU. So in chapter 1 of your book, you discuss characteristics of the inquiry teacher. And you state, one of the things you say is that inquiry teachers go outside to come back inside. They look to the community for connections to learning and curriculum. Could you give us a few examples of what community connections you've made or your colleagues have made that have been particularly helpful to your students?
Yeah, absolutely. And just some context with regards to the sketch note in that chapter specifically. You know, I've spent a lot of years traveling the world, consulting with schools and supporting them in implementing inquiry. And in that consulting role, that support role, I kind of work in three capacities. One way is providing some kind of workshop where I lead a staff through several pieces of inquiry, if you will. And then another one is actually the most stressful. You know, I was just in Pennsylvania in front of 350 teachers, but that is nowhere near as stressful as the second example, which is where a teacher gives me a class of students and the teachers want to observe me lead an inquiry lesson. And that's stressful because, of course, I don't know the kids and there's no relationship there. So I always find that to be quite stressful. And then the third, of course, is I'm observing a teacher and they've given me a lesson plan and they've asked me to watch them and give them some feedback. And I share those three different contexts with you because over the course of the last 10, maybe 12 years, in all the schools that I visited and all the observing of teachers in inquiry that I've seen, these are the characteristics that I've seen surface in those educators. And I've seen some magical things happen with regards to specifically what you're referring to. Teachers have this beautiful tendency of going out to come back in. And that could look like many things, but in a nutshell, learning is not confined to the four walls of our classroom any longer. You know, technology, obviously I've referred to that now, bringing us closer together, but it also really does open up the learning experience to be more than just teacher and student. There are so many voices that we can invite into the class, whether they're experts in a particular subject area or discipline or field, whether there are other classrooms around the world that we can connect with and collaborate with. I've seen a lot of amazing things with regards to that specific tech piece. And then I've seen some really practical uses or strategies to invite other people in. I'll speak from my experience. You know, I teach high school and my sons go to an elementary school that's just a mere 10-minute walk from my high school. And so once a week, I'm invited in to bring in my senior level English class to work with a grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3 class. And we probably work with that grade 1 or grade 2 class for about a month and a half. And we only visit them once a week. But essentially what we try to focus on is really doing an authentic and sustained inquiry project or unit with the littles, if you will, the grade 1s. And the bigs, my students, are the mentors. And so they come in and the bigs really love that mentorship role. You know, I often see these big, athletic, 6'5" football players just melt into becoming a mentor to a little 6-year-old student. You know, it's how they get down on one knee. It's how they invite curiosity and invite that mentorship, that partnership. That's really quite a beautiful thing. And really what we're looking for is, can we have the littles receive some mentorship and some support from someone who has some expertise with regards to research, maybe a little bit more involved with regards to what's happening with the components of inquiry, you know, the questioning, for example, the authentic piece when we're wrapping up the inquiry. So that's another way that I really love being invited in, or my students being invited in as inquiry mentors, if you will. And then also at my son's school, they have a really amazing outreach inquiry where they actually can go to the library, and the teacher librarian has prepared these inquiry bins, if you will. They're kind of big Tupperware bins. And inside these bins are all the supplies that you would need to get outside the classroom. And, sometimes there are magnifying glasses for the littles. There are notepads and clipboards. They even have these little cute inquiry backpacks that they all wear. And there's a beach about a 15-minute walk. There's a park that's about an 8-minute walk. There's a creek that's within 15 minutes. And so they have these bins that you can sign out from the library and go and spark an inquiry with your students right away. And so again, learning is an experience. I really love learning as a verb, if you will. It requires activity. It requires action. It requires experience. And part of that is definitely sitting in a desk and doing some work and some research, but also getting outside of our class, both professionally to deepen our learning, but also for our students, getting them moving, getting them outside. And that really is the impetus for that specific characteristic, if you will, Sandy.
Well, thank you.
My website, my social media platforms, those are really great ways to get in touch with me. And I'm very, very much open to that dialogue. It could be a direct tweet. It could be a DM or an email. And if you ever want me to retweet you, just simply tag me in a tweet. And I bring that up because in my global travels, there are 15,000 people who are part of that community of people who are following me on Twitter. And, if I don't have an idea that is going to support you and meet your needs, I'm sure someone in that group of 15,000 does, or at least has something that I don't. And so oftentimes I encourage teachers, tag me in a tweet, and that's our little, secret correspondence that you'd like me to retweet you. And before long, what you'll see is genuine interaction with people from around the world.